So powerful and so mysterious, it almost feels unreal. We're talking about the daughters of Vladimir Putin, Maria Vorontsova, Katerina Tikhonova, and the lesser-known but equally fascinating Luisa Rozova. While the Kremlin keeps their profiles low, the traces they leave behind, luxury homes, billion-dollar projects, academic empires, and state influence, paint a picture of wealth so immense, so carefully wrapped in secrecy, that many believe it forms a hidden empire worth trillions. Let's start with Maria Vorontsova. She may be the daughter of one of the world's most powerful men, but she hasn't spent her life partying in the spotlight. Instead, Maria focused on medicine. She studied hard, earned her degree in endocrinology, and later became deeply involved with a medical company called Nomio. But this wasn't just a quiet office job. Between 2019 and 2022, Maria earned nearly $11 million. That's not including her monthly paycheck from Moscow State University, where she was listed as an employee. Another small but steady stream of income. Under Maria's guidance, Nomio didn't just grow, it exploded. In 2018, it had nothing to show in profits. But by 2021, the company was earning nearly $7 million a year. Investors followed her lead. Strategic decisions boosted profits, and Maria stood at the center, not just as a figurehead but as a co-founder, director, and decision-maker. She may have started in medicine, but she ended up with her hands firmly on a slice of Russia's booming private healthcare sector. What's more intriguing is that Maria did all this while staying under the radar. She married a man named Yevgeny Nagorny, who once complained publicly about police brutality in Russia. Now, the man who once criticized Putin's rule is married to his daughter, a twist that only adds to the mystery surrounding this family. Despite the political fog that surrounds her father, Maria has shaped a wealthy and influential career all on her own, operating behind closed doors but always near the center of the action. Then there's Katerina Tikhonova, the second daughter. If Maria is the quiet academic force, Katerina is the public performer with a powerful brain and even more powerful allies. A former acrobatic dancer, she used her grace to enter Russia's elite circles. She ran a massive $1.7 billion expansion project at Moscow State University and led scientific institutions backed by the Kremlin. She wasn't just present, she was in charge. Using her maternal grandmother's surname to avoid public scrutiny, Katerina built a career surrounded by former KGB members and close Putin allies. This inner circle, some of the most influential men in Russia, helped her secure funding, launch projects, and gain prestige. Through her university connections, she directed millions in government-backed investments, built partnerships with state-run corporations, and elevated her name, without ever saying it out loud. Her marriage to Kirill Shamalov, the son of a powerful oligarch, further raised eyebrows. Shortly after the wedding, Kirill bought a stake in a Russian petrochemical giant for just $100. That stake was worth nearly $400 million at the time. Within months, he was a billionaire, and their marriage had brought together two of the most powerful families in Russia. They bought villas in France, estates near Putin's own homes, and reportedly spent lavishly on real estate and luxury furnishings. Emails and documents leaked to the press revealed that their spending matched their status, one of endless wealth and untouchable power. But as with all things Putin-related, it didn't last forever. The marriage reportedly ended, but the fortune remained. And then there's Luisa Rozova, the daughter that few speak about but many are obsessed with. Allegedly the child of Putin's former housekeeper turned millionaire, Svetlana Krivonogik. Luisa was raised in wealth and silence. The Kremlin has never confirmed her as Putin's daughter, but the connections are hard to ignore. Her mother's fortune, estimated at $100 million, came from real estate, business ties, and assets linked to Russia's power elite. Luisa lived in a secret palace on Krestovsky Island in St. Petersburg. This wasn't a regular home. It was a fortress, a penthouse guarded by moats, filled with gold-plated bars, velvet lounges, and private movie theaters. She posted pictures of herself relaxing on yachts, posing in front of luxurious backdrops, wearing designer brands, flying on private jets between Russia, Monaco, and Paris. All before turning 19. She launched a fashion line. She became a DJ. She hosted parties, rolled up in BMW 7 Series sedans, and lived like a celebrity. On Instagram, thousands followed her life, which seemed to run parallel to the everyday Russian's harsh reality. But as the attention grew, so did the criticism. People called her out for flaunting wealth that, according to them, came from their pensions, their taxes, their hardships. Eventually, Luisa vanished from social media, leaving behind questions no one dared to answer. In 2022, things changed. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the US and European Union placed sanctions not only on Russian banks and oligarchs, but also on Maria and Katerina. The world was now watching. It was no longer about just Putin. It was about the network around him. Sanctioning his daughters was a message. We know where the money flows. The sanctions were more than just a slap on the wrist. They limited travel, froze assets, and exposed the hidden world that these women had built with Putin's silent support. The US said Putin uses his family members to hide his real wealth, and that wealth is likely massive. Some say it's in the billions. Others believe it's well into the hundreds of billions. Some even whisper, it's in the trillions. Still, the daughters didn't disappear. In 2023, they re-emerged at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, a high-profile event often compared to the World Economic Forum in Davos. Maria spoke on genetics. Katerina talked about science, technology, and the importance of national defense. This was more than just two smart women speaking. It was a signal that they weren't going anywhere. That even as sanctions hit and the world tried to isolate Russia, the next generation of power was already preparing to take control. Their reappearance was also strategic. Many experts believe Putin is planning his legacy. He knows he won't rule forever, but he also knows that legacy isn't just built with armies and speeches. It's built with the family. His daughters, intelligent, trained, and connected, are slowly stepping into the spotlight, not as Instagram celebrities, but as future rulers of industry, science, and maybe even politics. And while the world tries to understand Putin's true net worth, more signs emerge. The palaces, the billion-dollar yachts, the 22-car private train with bulletproof glass, gold-trimmed bathtubs, Turkish saunas, and mobile war rooms, the $700 million aircraft known as the Flying Kremlin, the yachts with gold toilet roll holders and underwater lounges, the watches, the villas, the dachas, all owned through friends, shell companies, and possibly his daughters. Despite an official salary of just $140,000 per year, Putin lives like royalty. The Black Sea Palace alone costs $2 million a year to maintain. His jets rival Air Force One. His train includes anti-aging salons, medical units, and communication rooms. He has 10 yachts, one of which is valued at over $700 million. He's not just wealthy. He's something more. Untouchably rich, beyond the reach of audits, transparency, or questions. And in the middle of it all, his daughters. Running billion-dollar projects, owning villas, appearing at economic forums, vanishing from social media, gaining power through marriages and partnerships. Some say Putin's name might not be on the bank accounts, but his blood is. And that blood now controls a network of companies, institutes, and assets scattered across Russia and Europe. Even his ex-wife, Lyudmila Putina, has joined the circle of quiet billionaires. She helps run a foundation that earns millions in rent from a state-renovated Moscow building. Tenants include state banks and government offices. The income, sent to a private firm linked to her name. It's all legal on paper, but off paper, it fits the pattern. People close to Putin getting wealthy through quiet deals, friendly handshakes, and full control over state-backed empires. In a country where millions struggle to afford food and medicine, the contrast is stunning. While ordinary Russians wait in line, cut back on expenses, and wonder what tomorrow brings, the daughters of Putin fly across Europe, lead medical companies, dance at forums, and enjoy palaces with river views. So, is it really a stretch to call it a trillionaire life? Maybe not in the bank, but in power, reach, and luxury? It just might be. They don't need their names on the Forbes list. They don't need followers or magazine covers. What they have is something far more powerful. Quiet control, influence, generational wealth hidden behind veils of mystery, but always moving, always growing. And maybe that's the secret. The richest families don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper, and when they do, it's felt across continents.